but I'm excited for people and myself to just keep, for them to get to know me outside of the ABC version. I didn't mean to say virgin, but that too.
I want to start off with kind of how this all came about, why you decided to bring this to Netflix and kind of kick this off.
Oh, wow. Well, I mean, obviously the last few years, my life has been pretty public, and it was one of those things that when I thought about it a lot, and it wasn't just an easy answer for me to say, yes, I'm going to do a show about this. There was a lot of thinking and a lot of thought that went into it. But I really realized my story, or who I was always told who I was my entire life, whether it was football or in the church. And then obviously The Bachelor. And I felt like it was important for me to sort of come to terms of saying, you know what, this is, and really own who I am and say, hey, this is actually who I am. And for the first time, I'm going to let people truly see that. And that's, sort of how it all came to be and why I ultimately decided to sort of film all that.
Yeah, definitely. Is it nerve-wracking for you to kind of be like, because obviously you've been on TV, you've been in the public eye for a long time, but to finally be like, oh, this is actually the real me.
Yeah, it is. It's very relieving. It's also just, I'll say, like the happiest and healthiest for sure. There's, no overcompensating. There's a lot of things that led to sort of my spiral, and to me not being healthy came when I was in the closet. So of course, after being out, it's an amazing feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. The beginning of the series, we see it starts November 2020, and the first episode is the date. And then obviously we see you coming out to your family and your friends and the people in your life that are most important to you. What did people think that you were filming? Obviously they know that you were filming, there's cameras around. What was that kind of detail behind the scenes?
Yeah. Talking to my parents, and actually a lot of people in my life, they were pretty hesitant at first, just because I think, they saw what happened after I did The Bachelor and the year that I went through and the toll it took on my mental health. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, they love and support me a lot. And I had a conversation just saying like, hey, this is sort of a show that is going to be very raw and real and authentic compared to some of the last show I did. And my family sort of knew what I went through behind the scenes with that franchise too. So I think they were hesitant at first, but then also excited for the opportunity for me to be able to be me. And they didn't even realize like the full transparency of what I was giving. So yeah, that was an interesting sort of conversation to have to get my family on board without them even really knowing exactly what the show was.
Yeah, for sure. And it's interesting because obviously over the years, every time we've talked, obviously there has been hesitation about having the cameras rolling in your life because of everything you went through. Was there moments, I mean, there were some conversations that were, emotional for a viewer to watch. So were there moments that you were like, maybe we should have done this off camera? Maybe this shouldn't be captured on camera?
No, I really have no regrets about doing it all on camera. And I think there was a part of me that went into it thinking like, oh, I'm going to do this for, a lot of people and help people. But midway through filming, I'm like, I needed this.
Yeah.
I really like, it really hit me that the cameras sort of held me accountable in a lot of moments to be like, you can't back out of this. You can't escape the conversation like you have in the past when you might have wanted to bring it up, or you wanted to explore what a conversation might feel like, and then you got scared. Yeah. So the cameras sort of held me accountable. And it just overall was an amazing an experience and journey for me. It really was. Yeah,
absolutely. Something that's featured in the show is obviously the lead up to the Good Morning America interview and the backlash that followed that was kind of, you didn't really expect. Are you worried at all about backlash after this?
I mean, at this point in my life, I'm so happy and I'm in such a good place. Yeah. I think what was tough with that was, the show got leaked, and I think that also, if there was one moment of regret about having cameras around, it would have been during all of that, just because I didn't anticipate the show leaking and getting out while I was still in the process of coming out. So that was sort of hard for me to balance at the time, but I will say, like, I have the most support that I've ever had in my life, whether it's my friends or my family. I have amazing new friends. I have the most diverse group of friends that I've ever had in my life. And then also I have my family that, you know, I didn't know how they were going to take all of this, but they have put in so much work just to educate themselves, to ask thoughtful and meaningful questions to me, and really put the work in with my friends and see and make sure that, you know, people are going to help me out and keep me on the right track with all of this coming out, because that was a real fear for, you know, a lot of my friends and my family, of me getting back in under the spotlight again.
Definitely. And I mean, you've been open, obviously, since the beginning, that you struggle with mental health, that you talk to a therapist, that things that, you know, everybody really struggles with. So how much of that has changed for you? How much of that has become a lot easier for you now that you're living your life as your true self?
Well, I'm still in therapy, but I am off my medications, which was a big deal to me, just because of, how reliant I was on my anti-anxiety medicines all the way up into pretty much getting addicted to it. So I think as far as that goes, it's better. It's not completely away. I mean, I still battle bad days, like pretty much, I mean, a lot of people, and especially where we're at in this world right now, you have tough days, but I'm still in therapy and I'm still working on it, but I'm in a much better place.
Yeah, that's amazing. I can see it in your face. It's like a different, like a light.
I know. I feel like last time I talked to you too, I was really going through it. Like I was sort of like mid spiral, almost to the bottom of that spiral when we sat down to talk last. But since then, I think the year off and moving back to Colorado, sort of giving myself space and time away from the public was the healthiest decision I could make.
Absolutely. Do you plan on staying in Colorado, going back and forth between LA? What is your plan there?
No. So I actually just sold this house that I was in, and I built it sort of as my sanctuary. And it's such a strange feeling. I have had it like less than a year, but I made every detail sort of like there to ground me and to make me feel safe and comfortable. And that's where we filmed a lot of the show, is actually in my house. But I actually just sold it. I don't really at this time know exactly what the future is holding. I have a couple really cool projects that I'm working on. And as far as like business wise goes and professional wise, I'm the most creative I've ever been. And it's since I've sort of had this like internal peace with myself for the first time. So I'm very excited about a lot of things that I'm working on, but I think this place and this house served me for the time that I needed it. And now it's time to turn the page. Yeah, absolutely. It's so gorgeous. I love it so much. I'm surprised that you're leaving it. I'm surprised because you did put so much of yourself into it. I know. So obviously there was a big topic. The whole situation with Cassie was not avoided in the show. You pretty much just owned up to all of it and talked about it as much as you possibly could with the legal side of it. Yeah. Something that you say is that the day that you got the restraining order is kind of the day that you knew you need to make a change. Do you feel like that's kind of the turning point for you, that you maybe wouldn't have come out then, or maybe not ever, if something so drastic in your life hadn't happened? Definitely. I mean, I think that was sort of a huge wake-up call. I'm sad that it even got to that point, to where that had to be my wake-up call, of me affecting other people in my life. Was sort of the moment that I realized I had to come out. Obviously, I wish I would have had the courage, and I would have had the courage to come out without having to be pushed. But I do think that moment was the realization that, like, what are you doing with your life? This is not who you are. This is not what you do. Like, why are you in this situation right now? And when it boiled down to it, was because I wasn't myself. I wasn't being true to who I was, and I wasn't in a really good place. So. Yeah, of course. Obviously some of her friends are in this, which is a very powerful conversation featured in the show.
Did you kind of give her or her family a heads up or through friends or anything like that about how much you talk about her in this?
No, I really couldn't, and just, with everything that has gone on, there was no real room for that. So yeah, no.
Okay. Obviously Gus is a big part of this, which is so nice to see your guys' friendship and your friendship with a lot of other people in your life that obviously people who only know you from either football or only know you from the Bachelor world don't know that whole side of your life. Were you excited to kind of show like you getting to know other people like on a friend level as well as maybe a romantic level down the line?
The romantic level, no, absolutely not. I had been through that. I had done that. I was sort of, even going into the show, that was one of the conversations with the production company was, I'm not in a space right now to really like put myself out there like that. I have a lot of self-discovery to do. And to your question about Gus, though, I mean, he was really there for me and really helped me. And I really seeked a lot of people out that knew a lot about the community and had a way to help me out if they were up for it. So having him there, having Pastor Nicole, Pastor Ben, Cody Allen, Cody Ballou, like all of these new friends of mine, and people who I might have avoided, when I was in the closet just because I didn't want to be outed, really came to help me and really came to be a valuable resource in my coming out process and journey to myself.
Have you been able to blend that group with the friends that you have at home, the people of your church, your family? Have you been able to blend that? Yeah,
I actually, that was a huge thing that I didn't realize what I was carrying, but I had to compartmentalize so much of my life.
Yeah.
My high school friends can never meet my college friends. And then, I'd use lies or secrets against, people of saying like, hey, I can't come out tonight because I'm hanging out with them. And then I'd tell them that I was hanging out with my other buddies. And it was so stressful, like having all of these little lies add up. So once I could just be myself and not have to worry about who talks to who, and I can be honest and real with people, it was valuable. But yeah, my best friend Cassie went on a trip to Mexico with me, and like Johnny Sibley was there, sort of some of the new friendships that I have this year. And we took a trip to really get to know each other. And it was so cool to be able to bring people from, my high school days into where I am in this space of my life.
That's so cool. Absolutely. When it comes to looking back at The Bachelor and that whole world, do you not watch the show? Do you not really want anything to do with it? Like, how do you feel about it now?
I don't watch the show. I will say, the only person that I really talk to is Chris still. So Chris and I stay in touch. I will say this, is Chris was about the only one from the franchise who really reached out and sort of let me know that he was there for me if there's anything he can do. And, he was going through his own thing at the time too. So I don't, unfortunately, I don't have really any relationships in the franchise anymore.
Yeah. Okay. I understand that.
Yeah.
You said, obviously at the time of filming, which was probably like a year ago at this point, you didn't want to put any dating or anything like that on camera. Is that something you don't want to ever do again?
I don't want to speak in definitives right now because, as I learned, I'm growing and I want to give my space to really explore new things. At the moment, I've definitely drawn boundaries on that. Having a public relationship for me was not healthy. And I just think right now I'm really sort of protecting and guarding what I have. And, when the time comes, I'm not like hiding, I'm not hiding him from anybody other than the fact that like, I just want that time for us right now. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously you guys haven't, posted on social media, things like that, but you guys are in a good place. You guys are happy together.
Very much so. Yeah, I'm happy and I'm in love and I'm in a good position.
That's so exciting. Has your family like him and everything?
Totally. Yeah. Everything as far as that goes has been pretty smooth. And, what was so cool too, is like after the show was over, I didn't know what was really next. I didn't know what, I knew that I was still coming out and I still am. So there's still things to work through right now. And just like I said, the friends that I have, the support group that I have has been so helpful and impactful.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the most powerful things in the show, I thought, was that you talked about how you really want to you still see yourself getting married. You still see yourself hopefully with a family eventually. Is that something you definitely would want in the future?
Yeah, without a doubt. I remember like vividly on Ellen, when she asked me when we were talking about Bachelor and stuff, is like, I feel like I was born to be a dad. Yeah. And I still feel that way. I still feel like when I was closeted, I was scared of not being able to be a dad because, I know that seems silly because there's gay men all over the world and married gay men that have kids, but I never really looked into that or researched it, and I stayed away from it. So yeah, absolutely. I want a family.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, my last thing, what did you learn about yourself during this process? Obviously you learned a lot, and we kind of see it, which is really great that you kind of let fans kind of in on that whole entire process. But looking back, what can you say you really learned about yourself?
I think that I'm still learning. I mean, I still am learning, I'll say that, but I've learned so much. I think, and it just starts with, being grounded and really knowing, who in my life I can lean on and trust in hard moments and the support system that I have. But for me, I have to be authentic. I have to be real. And if I'm not going to be in a good place. And yeah. Now I'm not afraid to ask for help when I need it. I'm not in a place where I'm going to allow myself to be overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. So, this next year for me, I'm so excited about, because I'm in such a good place personally, but also I'm just very well connected to sort of, who I am and what I want to do.
Yeah, for sure. Well, is there anything professionally coming up that you can tease with anybody?
Not at this time, but I do, like I said, I do have some really cool projects that I've been working on, and some things I'm just excited for people. I mean, obviously the show's going to be one thing, but I'm excited for people and myself to just keep, for them to get to know me outside of the ABC version. I didn't mean to say virgin, but that too.
Either way.
But yeah, I feel like, this is, a new season of my life now. So I'm really excited to, bring people along with that.
For sure. Colton, thank you so much for chatting. And thank you for doing the show. It's very raw and open. So I really appreciate it. It was powerful. Cool. I got a little emotional, I'll tell you. So
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.